And joining us right now is the head coach of the Ottawa Fury, Marc Dos Santos. Marc, welcome to Toronto. What a conference it's been here so far. Once again, we thank you for coming. Let's talk about what you tried to impact on these young coaches and some of the older coaches in your demonstration today.
I think the most important thing is really to see how many coaches are in this conference. You know, Anthony has been doing a great job, and I think that it's extremely organized. There's a lot of, I'm surprised by the amount of people that want to learn, and this is a good sign for the future of Canadian soccer, you know. It's so important that our young players are well surrounded, because it's not Benito that's going to do the job alone, or the 5 professional clubs. We need at the amateur level to have serious people and serious coaches. And what we see here today, the people that came, shows a little bit of the interest of coaching in Canada.
Well said, Marc. Obviously, the young coaches, they're like sponges. They're absorbing everything you're saying because you're a professional, head coach of a professional team. How do you break through to some of the coaches that have been doing it 20, 25 years, and they're going to say, who's Marc Dos Santos to tell me how I'm supposed to coach? I've had success. How do you break through to them today?
It depends how you see success. And what I really think is, even myself, that, you know, I've won with the Impact, I've won in Brazil, I'm here, and I still want to learn. You know, so the first thing that I think promotes or gives value to a young coach or an older coach is always that willingness to learn, always that willingness to get better. And I think, you know, the way we break to that is with humility. It's making the people understand that soccer has evolved in the world. What was soccer 20 years ago, it's different than what soccer is going to be today or in 20 years from now. So I think that the coaches that have more success are the coaches that are able to look at the future.
You brought up a key word there, humility. And I think it's important that all the people check their egos at the door. Coaches, TDs, club administrators, so that we're all doing it for the benefit of the game. I'm sure you, Marc Dos Santos, are learning still today from other coaches.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's incredible that you see some youth coaches that are coaching U9, never won nothing in their lives, and feel that they're at the level of everything, you understand? And this is not going to help Canadian soccer. What's going to help Canadian soccer is passion, humility, and willingness to learn. Because when you're going to have coaches that are humble, that have the passion for soccer and willingness to learn, well, they're going to be able to grow. You know, I see these coaches here, and this is how I started. You know, I started sitting down there. I did the B license of Canada, and after I started doing my badges, and people have to understand that it's a process to get to a certain level, and it's important to have that humility to learn all the time.
It was wonderful to see those young men out there that they were helping you out do the demonstration, Marc, keeping the ball on the ground. I'm so happy that the last couple of years in Canada, in Ontario, we're learning to keep the ball on the ground, where it's always been this kick-and-run English style. How important is it that we start implementing Benito Floro's style of play in Canada?
Oh, it's important if we want to have a national team that is following the progression of soccer. We have to make sure that we teach our players to be in possession. Possession, sometimes it's about long diagonals, but most of the time possession is about a good quality pass on the ground. So it's so important that we implement this at a very young age, so when they grow and when they get to the national team, they create habits. It's a DNA. Possession in Spain, example, or in Brazil or any other top country in the world is habits. It's a DNA, it's in your blood, and it starts at a very young age.
I've seen it in Italy. I'm pretty sure you've seen it in Portugal, Spain, and Germany, other countries. In training sessions, the kids go all out. They don't even like to lose in a scrimmage. Here in Ontario and in Canada, I think, personally anyway, we still lack that mentality in training. How do we get that mentality instilled in our 15, 16, and 17-year-olds?
First, it's the intensity of every exercise. If you don't create exercises to bring a kind of intensity, you're never gonna have a player that is intense. I told to the coaches before, I said, I'm sure that Carlos Santana, before he prepares to a concert, he doesn't play piano and he doesn't run around his guitar. You know, he plays guitar. and he plays hours and hours guitar. If we want players to be intense in training, intense in games all the time, well, us coaches, we have to create exercises that are going to bring that intensity in the exercise, and by the type of exercise we bring, the player has to be intense.
What do you want to say to the parents out there? A lot of them put a lot of money and effort and time to bring their kids all over the province and in this country. And a lot of them are well behaved. But I think a lot of them also put the nose in the business of the coaches where they shouldn't. I think there's some wonderful coaches out there that unfortunately are being disrupted in their style of teaching to the kids because parents get involved. What do you want to say to the parents?
Parents need to understand that they're extremely important for the game, because they're important to bring the kid and they're important to surround the kid well outside the field. But they also have to understand that the best players in the world, normally the father didn't even get to, or the mom didn't even get to go and see training session. You know, there's big academies in Europe that you leave your kid at the door and you wait for him at the end. You pick him up after training session. And I don't think that it has to go to that extreme, but parents have to trust coaches. Parents have to trust the clubs that are putting coaches in place, and have to understand that if they give that freedom to the player, go have fun, train, and I have to step back now because this is your place, maybe we're going to have, and they're going to create better players.
Well said. Just before we let you go, we can't let you go without talking about a couple months, and the atmosphere in Ottawa is electric right now. NASL is coming there. You're the head coach of the Ottawa Fury. John Pugh and so many have done so much behind the scenes. Talk about the city getting ready. Talk about yourself. A couple new signings. Drew Becky, Andreas Frazenga. You guys are ready. Expect from NASL clubs a lot of things that they're going to bring to the table to you.
Yes, first of all, it's an expansion team. When it's an expansion team, we need to be aware that we're going to go through growing pains, and everything that's made for the first time, you go through growing pains. But what I like about Ottawa is that our model that we want to bring to Ottawa is extremely well defined. So we know it's not a one-year success and disappear. We know it's a long-term process of building, and we're excited where we are at. You know, we've recruited pretty well. Our staff has done a fantastic job going after players with the right profile for the team. And the interesting thing is that every Canadian we brought to the club has a link with the national team, or has been in the U20 program or Olympic program, or in the case of Frazenga with the first team. You understand? So that's a good profile we're bringing. The city is excited because of the new stadium. Of course, that the new stadium is going to bring a new sport. Ottawa deserves it. It's the capital of Canada, so they deserve to have an important soccer team. And I think, you know, this is not only good for Ottawa. When you have more professional teams in Canada, you give the kids all over Canada to have a dream. You know, if I can play for Toronto FC, maybe I could play for Montreal. If I can play for Montreal, I could play for Ottawa. I could play for Edmonton, Vancouver. So now we start to have options. So now our kids could start having somewhere where to go one day, and that's extremely important.
We'll close it out with this. How important is the link between youth clubs in Ottawa? Yourself as the head coach, the youth coaches in the Ottawa area, your players are going out to some of their clubs. How important is it that you guys get immersed in that community and make this successful?
We depend on them. We depend on them. We depend on the youth clubs. We depend on the soccer fans and the people that love soccer in Ottawa. So that's all the parents that are in the youth system, all the players that are in the youth system, all the coaches involved at the youth system. It's not about club. It's not about the Ottawa Fury against another club. It's about Ottawa Fury being a pro club and giving opportunity to all the kids in the amateur level. And we're going to be looking at the best players possible. And when it includes best players possible, it's great to have guys that are local. So we're going to look for them also. Young,
energetic, hungry to succeed in Ottawa, Marc Dos Santos. Congratulations to you. Good luck in your first season. And thank you for giving back to Canada and the country, my friend.
Thank you very much.
Marc Dos Santos, head coach of Ottawa Fury.